If you're over 60 and taking vitamins every morning, I need to warn you. One of them may be the reason your energy is fading, your blood pressure is climbing, and your intimate moments feel like a distant memory. I've seen men lose their strength, clarity, and even their erections, not from aging, but from one thing they thought was helping, their daily multivitamin. Yes, the very pills you take for health may be silently draining the life out of you. I'm Dr. Mohit Kara, a physician specializing in men's health and longevity for over 30 years. I've helped thousands of seniors across the country regain their strength, confidence, and vitality, not by giving them more prescriptions, but by showing them what to stop putting in their bodies. Here's the paradox. As we get older, we take more supplements, but often feel worse. Why? Because your body after 60 doesn't handle vitamins the way it used to. Some compounds, especially in synthetic form, can harm your circulation, block testosterone, burden your liver, and weaken your bones, without you even knowing it. But here's the good news. Once you know which 4 vitamins to avoid and which 4 to replace them with, you'll finally give your body the support it truly needs to feel alive again. And I'll tell you this. One of the vitamins I'm going to reveal is found in nearly every senior multivitamin on store shelves today. Keep listening, because once you hear this, you'll never take your supplements the same way again. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to hit that button and turn on the bell, so you never miss a vital health warning or life-changing tip made specifically for seniors like you. And if this video speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me make every message more helpful, more honest, and more tailored to your health journey. Let's start with what could be silently working against you. These are the 4 vitamins you should never take after 60, not because vitamins are bad, but because the wrong forms, the wrong doses, and the wrong combinations can quietly damage your blood flow, burden your organs, and rob you of the strength and intimacy you deserve to keep. If you're taking any of these, it might explain why your energy is fading, your erections are weaker, or your sleep feels less restful. Let's go through each one, and I'll show you exactly what to avoid and why. 1. Synthetic vitamin E, DL-alpha tocopherol. I'll never forget the moment a 68-year-old gentleman sat across from me in my office, head down, voice low, clearly frustrated. He had been doing everything right, or so he thought, taking his daily vitamins, walking every morning, cutting out sugar, but something wasn't right. His energy was down, his blood pressure was inching higher, and worst of all, the quiet confidence he once had in the bedroom, gone. He looked me in the eye and said, "Doc, is this just old age catching up with me?" What I found in his supplement list shocked him, and frankly, it still shocks me how common this mistake is. Right at the top, synthetic vitamin E, listed as DL-alpha tocopherol. It's in countless multivitamins marketed to seniors, but what most people don't realize is that this synthetic form is not the same as the natural vitamin E your body actually knows how to use. The DL at the beginning is the giveaway. It's chemically manufactured, cheap to produce, easy to bottle, and widely sold. But the problem is, it doesn't behave like the vitamin E found in almonds, sunflower seeds, or leafy greens. In fact, studies show that high doses of this synthetic compound can actually block the absorption of other, more beneficial forms of vitamin E. Even worse, a landmark study published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute found that men who took this synthetic version had a significantly higher risk of prostate cancer. That's not a risk any man over 60 should be taking, especially when he's trying to do the right thing. From a circulation perspective, synthetic vitamin E can also interfere with the delicate balance of antioxidants in your body, creating more stress on the blood vessels rather than supporting them. That means slower blood flow, reduced oxygen delivery, and over time, a subtle weakening of your natural erections, even if your testosterone levels look normal. You may feel fine at first, but beneath the surface, things are quietly shifting. The truth is, vitamin E is still vital after 60, but the form matters. You need the kind found in nature, mixed tocopherols and tocotrienols. These forms support healthy arteries, protect your heart, and help maintain healthy skin, eyes, and sexual function. But that synthetic version, that needs to go. Now, here's where it gets even more frustrating. Many multivitamins for seniors still use DL-alpha tocopherol as their main vitamin E source, simply because it's cheaper. So even if you're buying the silver or men over 60 version at your local store, you could be unknowingly sabotaging your health every single morning. The man I mentioned earlier, he cut that synthetic vitamin E out within a week, replaced it with a natural, food-based supplement. 2 weeks later, he emailed me with a simple sentence: "Doc, I finally feel like me again." That's the power of doing something small, but smart. But synthetic vitamin E isn't the only hidden danger. There's another vitamin found in many immune-boosting supplements that may actually be weakening your bones and blocking the hormone that fuels your drive as a man. Let's talk about it. 2. Retinyl Palmitate, synthetic vitamin A. A few months ago, I met a retired school principal in her early 70s. She was sharp, articulate, and had always prided herself on staying ahead of her health. But something had changed. Her joints ached more than usual, her balance wasn't what it used to be, and worst of all, she had suffered a minor fall that led to a fractured wrist. When I reviewed her supplements, one thing immediately stood out: high-dose synthetic vitamin A, listed as retinyl palmitate. It's one of the most overlooked ingredients in multivitamins for seniors. And while vitamin A is essential for vision, immunity, and skin health, the form and amount matter more than most people realize, especially after 60. Retinyl palmitate is a fat-soluble version of vitamin A, and your body stores it in the liver. That sounds harmless until you understand what happens when you get too much of it over time. Your liver, especially in older age, has a harder time processing and eliminating excess retinoids. And when levels build up, they don't just sit quietly. They interfere with bone density, creating brittleness and fragility, two things no senior can afford to ignore. Studies have shown that excessive synthetic vitamin A is directly linked to increased fracture risk in older adults, not just in theory, but in real life. And for the woman I was speaking with, the evidence was right there in the cast on her wrist. But bone health is just the beginning. High levels of synthetic vitamin A can also suppress vitamin D activity, a nutrient we absolutely need after 60 to support testosterone, immune balance, mood, and even sexual performance. It's a cruel irony. You think you're boosting your immunity, but instead you're blocking one of the most powerful hormones for aging well. What's especially concerning is how often this form of vitamin A is added to eye health or immune support supplements. It's marketed to seniors as protective, but without any warning about the risk of toxicity. No one tells you that once you're no longer absorbing nutrients like you did in your 40s, your margin for error shrinks. What used to help you can now hurt you. So, what's the alternative? Nature already gave us a safer, smarter version: beta-carotene. Unlike synthetic vitamin A, beta-carotene is a provitamin. Your body converts only what it needs. You won't build up excess in your liver. You won't interfere with other nutrients. And best of all, you'll still protect your eyesight, skin, and immune strength without sacrificing your bones or your hormones. For the woman I mentioned, we switched her to a plant-based multivitamin containing beta-carotene from carrots and sweet potatoes. In a few short weeks, she noticed she was sleeping better, her energy stabilized, and her follow-up bone scan showed no further loss. She said to me, "I didn't know one small change could matter that much." But that's the point. It always does. Now, imagine a vitamin that's supposed to give you energy, but ends up draining your liver, overheating your system, and quietly weakening your erections, especially if you're a man over 60. It's one of the most common B vitamins, and chances are, it's sitting on your bathroom counter right now. Let's uncover it together. 3. High-dose niacin, over 500 milligrams of vitamin B3. I once had a patient in his early 60s, a proud grandfather, former construction foreman, tough as nails on the outside, but quietly worried about the changes happening inside. He came to see me because he'd started experiencing unusual waves of heat in his face, pounding in his chest, and sudden fatigue that seemed to strike out of nowhere. "I thought it was my heart," he said, "but my cardiologist didn't find anything." He'd also noticed that his drive, both physical and emotional, had started to fade. And yet, his labs looked fairly normal. As always, I asked him to bring in all the supplements he was taking. And there it was, right on top, a high-dose niacin capsule labeled with 1,000 milligrams of vitamin B3. He was taking it every morning, faithfully, because he had read that it was good for cholesterol and heart health. And while niacin can play a role in lipid management, most people don't realize that high doses, especially above 500 milligrams, come with serious trade-offs, especially for men over 60. Niacin, in high amounts, causes your blood vessels to dilate rapidly, which leads to that classic flushing, redness, heat, and in some cases, a racing heart. But that's just the surface. What worried me more was what was happening beneath the skin. In older adults, high-dose niacin puts tremendous pressure on the liver. Over time, this can lead to liver stress, elevated enzymes, and even a feeling of constant fatigue that's hard to explain. You're tired, but you can't sleep. You're eating well, but you feel off. That's what was happening to this man. And there's something else, something more personal. Niacin at those levels can reduce your body's natural production of sex hormones, blunt nitric oxide, and in men especially, interfere with the blood flow needed for healthy, spontaneous erections. It's subtle at first. A softening, a delay, maybe more effort required to feel excited, but it builds. Many men blame themselves or think they're just aging, when in reality, they're taking something every morning that's numbing their body's natural rhythm. There's a better way. If you need support for energy and metabolism, a lower dose B complex with balanced B3, ideally no more than 50 to 100 milligrams, is safer, smarter, and easier on the liver. Even better, switching to niacinamide, a non-flushing form of B3, gives your brain and cells the support they need without the heat, the stress, or the hormonal disruption. After we adjusted his supplement routine, that man came back a month later. He said, "Doc, I feel like a weight's been lifted, no more heat waves, my sleep is back, and I'm waking up, let's just say, more alive." It wasn't a magic pill. It was the removal of the wrong one. But if you think that's the last hidden threat, there's one more vitamin that's even more dangerous, because most men over 60 take it without a second thought. It's linked to thicker blood, reduced circulation, and serious strain on the heart and prostate, and yet, it's still in many multivitamins labeled for seniors. Let me show you exactly why this last one may be the most quietly harmful of them all. 4. Iron, unless your doctor prescribes it. One of the most overlooked dangers I see in older men, and even some women, is excess iron. I remember a gentleman in his mid-70s who came into my clinic with symptoms that puzzled both him and his family doctor. He was often tired but couldn't sleep through the night. His hands and feet felt heavier. His erections, once steady and reliable, had quietly disappeared. He told me, "I'm eating well, staying active, even taking all my vitamins. But I feel like I'm slowly fading." We took a closer look at his supplement routine, and right there in bold letters on his multivitamin bottle, 18 milligrams of iron. "I thought iron was good for you," he said. And it can be, if you're deficient. But here's the thing most seniors are never told. After age 60, especially in men and postmenopausal women, your body no longer needs the same amount of iron. In fact, too much can be toxic. Iron is a pro-oxidant, meaning it promotes oxidative stress when it builds up in the body. And unlike some nutrients that are flushed out easily, iron tends to accumulate, especially in men, since they don't lose blood monthly like women of reproductive age. Over time, this iron buildup can damage the heart, stiffen the arteries, and contribute to inflammation in the liver, brain, and prostate. It thickens the blood, reduces oxygen delivery, and slowly chokes off circulation where it matters most, especially for men who already struggle with erectile function. Even worse, excess iron may quietly feed the very conditions you're trying to prevent: heart disease, insulin resistance, and hormonal decline. Most men who take iron supplements don't even know they're carrying too much until it's already affecting their energy, memory, or intimacy. The good news is that once you remove the excess, the body can begin to rebalance itself. But the key is to stop adding more in the first place, unless your doctor has confirmed through blood work that you're anemic. If not, it's time to look for iron-free multivitamins and rely on natural food sources like leafy greens, legumes, and beets, which provide iron in gentler, safer forms that don't overwhelm the body. The man I mentioned? We took him off the iron supplement, adjusted his diet slightly, and checked his ferritin levels regularly. Within weeks, he felt lighter, not just physically, but mentally. His sleep deepened. His hands stopped feeling cold, and when he returned for his follow-up, he smiled and said, "It's the first time in years I've felt like I'm not dragging my body through the day." Iron may be essential in the right amounts, but in excess, it becomes a slow, silent thief, stealing clarity, connection, and strength from the inside out. Now that you know which 4 vitamins to stop taking, the real transformation begins. Because when you give your body the right support, nutrients it can actually use, in the right form, at the right time, everything changes. Coming up next, I'll show you the 4 powerhouse vitamins that I recommend to every senior patient who wants to restore blood flow, energy, and vitality, without putting their health at risk. You don't want to miss this. 1. Vitamin D3 plus K2, MK7. When I sit down with my older patients, men and women who've spent their lives building families, businesses, legacies, there's one common thread I hear again and again. They say, "I'm not looking to be 20 again, doctor. I just want to feel like myself, stronger, clearer, more alicientiav." And if there's one vitamin duo I consistently turn to for that kind of transformation, it's this one, vitamin D3 paired with K2, specifically the MK7 form. Most people know vitamin D3 is important. It supports immunity, helps maintain strong bones, and improves mood. But what many don't realize is just how deeply it affects circulation, testosterone levels, and even sexual health, especially in men over 60. Low vitamin D3 has been directly linked to fatigue, poor sleep, brain fog, and a noticeable decline in sexual desire and function. It's not just a winter vitamin, it's a master key to vitality. Now here's where it gets even more important. Vitamin D3 works best when it's paired with vitamin K2. Why? Because while D3 helps your body absorb calcium, K2 tells that calcium where to go. Without K2, calcium may build up in the wrong places, your arteries, your joints, causing stiffness, high blood pressure, and reduced blood flow. But with the MK7 form of K2, that calcium gets directed to your bones and teeth, where it belongs, keeping your vessels clean, soft, and open. I remember a man in his late 60s who had been struggling with stiffness in his legs and a fading sense of masculine energy. He chalked it up to aging, of course, but when we tested his blood, his vitamin D levels were nearly non-existent. I started him on a daily dose of 4,000 IU of D3, paired with 120 mcg of MK7. Within 3 weeks, he came back and said, "Doc, I didn't know how much I'd lost until I started getting it back." He was sleeping deeper. His walks got longer. And he even noticed he was waking up with that old, familiar feeling in the morning again, something he hadn't experienced in years. This duo doesn't just protect your bones, it revives your body's core strength. It reignites drive, clears your thinking, and improves the flexibility of the very arteries that support your heart and your intimacy. And best of all, it's safe, simple, and inexpensive. All it takes is a small soft gel with breakfast, preferably with some healthy fat, like eggs, avocado, or a spoon of olive oil, to unlock the full benefit. It's not about chasing youth, it's about restoring balance. And for many seniors, this is the first real step toward feeling whole again. But D3 and K2 are just the beginning. Because while they protect your structure and flow, there's another mineral that helps calm the nerves, improve your sleep, and directly supports better erections by relaxing the blood vessels from within. And sadly, it's one that almost every senior I test is low in. Let's talk about that next. 2. Magnesium Glycinate, the relaxation mineral. There's something I've come to believe deeply after 3 decades of treating seniors. Sometimes it's not about adding more energy, it's about removing the tension that's silently draining it. And when I think of that hidden tension, the one that lives in the muscles, in the nerves, and yes, even in the blood vessels, there's one mineral that rises above the rest: magnesium. But not just any kind. After 60, the form that works best, without upsetting the stomach or getting lost in digestion, is magnesium glycinate. I remember one man in particular. He was 73, a former Army medic, tough in his tone but tired in his eyes. He told me he hadn't slept through the night in years. His legs cramped, his hands trembled, and his mood was off. He used to be calm, focused, sharp, but lately he felt like he was running on edge, wired but worn out. We did some blood work, and there it was. His magnesium was barely registering. What most people don't realize is that magnesium is involved in over 300 biochemical processes in the body. It supports nerve function, balances blood sugar, regulates blood pressure, helps build bone, and perhaps most importantly for older men, it relaxes smooth muscle, including the muscle that lines your arteries and the ones involved in sexual performance. When magnesium levels drop, those muscles tense up, blood flow slows, erections become weaker, sleep becomes lighter, and a quiet sense of anxiety begins to grow, even in the most emotionally grounded men. And here's the twist. Most seniors aren't getting enough magnesium from their diet. Medications like diuretics, antacids, and even common blood pressure pills can drain your magnesium reserves further. So you're not just lacking magnesium, you're leaking it. And the signs show up slowly. Restless legs, shallow sleep, irritability, heart palpitations, even constipation or sugar cravings. Now, not all magnesium supplements are equal. Some, like magnesium oxide, are poorly absorbed and often cause digestive discomfort. That's why I recommend magnesium glycinate. It's gentle, easy on the stomach, and highly absorbable. It also binds with glycine, an amino acid that promotes calm and better sleep. I usually suggest starting with 200 to 400 milligrams in the evening, about an hour before bed. Most of my patients report better rest within a few days. Over time, they also notice steadier energy, smoother circulation, and in many cases, a welcomed return of spontaneous intimacy. The Army medic I mentioned? He sent me a note 3 weeks later. He said, "I slept 6 hours straight without waking. That hasn't happened since my 40s. And doc, you were right. Everything else seems to work better too." That's magnesium at work. Not a stimulant, not a sedative, just real biological support. But if magnesium is the mineral that calms and restores, there's another nutrient that does the opposite. It fuels your body's engine. It powers the heart, charges your cells, and makes sure every beat, every breath, and every bedroom moment has the energy it needs. Most people over 60 are dangerously low in it, especially if they take statins. Let's explore it next. 3. CoQ10, ubiquinol, the energy generator. Not long ago, a man in his late 60s sat across from me in my office. He was polite, soft-spoken, and you could tell he was the kind of man who never liked to complain, but he leaned in and quietly asked, "Doctor, is it normal to feel like my batteries never fully charge anymore?" That question stuck with me, because I've heard it so many times, in so many different ways. Fatigue that doesn't go away, a mind that feels foggy, a body that no longer rises to the occasion, no matter how hard you try. For many men over 60, this isn't just about age, it's about missing cellular fuel, and that fuel is called CoQ10. CoQ10 is a compound your body makes naturally. It's responsible for creating energy at the cellular level, especially in your heart, muscles, and brain. But here's the catch. After age 40, your natural levels start to drop. And by the time you reach 60 or 70, your reserves may be too low to keep up with the energy demands of daily life. Add in medications like statins, often prescribed to lower cholesterol, and your CoQ10 levels can plummet even faster. Statins are known to block CoQ10 production, which is why so many men on these drugs quietly struggle with fatigue, muscle weakness, and yes, reduced libido and sexual performance. That man in my office, He had been on statins for 8 years. He walked every morning, ate well, even practiced yoga with his wife. But still, he said, "I feel like my body's dimming." We tested his CoQ10 levels, and they were, as I expected, nearly undetectable. I started him on ubiquinol, the most absorbable form of CoQ10, and within 3 weeks, something shifted. His walks got longer. He laughed more. He even mentioned, a little sheepishly, that things were working better in the bedroom again. CoQ10 isn't a stimulant. It doesn't mask fatigue. It helps your cells produce ATP, the very energy currency of life. That means stronger heartbeats, more oxygen in your muscles, clearer brain function, and better stamina in every area that matters. And for men, especially those who've lost their edge, it can quietly reignite physical confidence and performance without side effects. When it comes to choosing the right form, ubiquinol is key. Ubiquinone is cheaper and less effective for older adults. Most men over 60 do best with 100 to 200 milligrams of ubiquinol daily, taken with a meal that contains some fat to enhance absorption. And for that man who once asked if feeling half-charged was normal, he came back after a month, shook my hand and said, "I didn't realize how much I'd faded until I felt myself come back." That's what CoQ10 can do when your body is running on empty. But energy alone isn't enough. You also need flexibility, literally. The health of your arteries, brain, and even your prostate depends on one powerful nutrient most people forget. It fights inflammation, keeps your blood smooth, and your mind sharp. And if you're over 60, this next one is absolutely essential. Let's take a closer look. 4. Omega-3 fatty acids, the anti-inflammation oil. Years ago, I had a patient named Walter, 72, retired firefighter, married over 40 years. He came to me not because something was drastically wrong, but because he said, "Doc, I just feel stiff. In my joints, in my thinking, even in how I connect with my wife." He wasn't sick, but he wasn't thriving either. And in men like Walter, I often look for one common missing ingredient: omega-3 fatty acids. These powerful fats are found in cold water fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. But let's be honest, most people over 60 aren't eating enough of those. And the truth is, omega-3s aren't just good for your heart. They're essential for keeping your brain sharp, your blood flowing, and your intimacy alive. When inflammation rises with age, as it naturally does, omega-3s help calm the fire. They make blood vessels more flexible. They reduce stiffness in the joints. They even support emotional balance, helping you feel more connected and centered in yourself and your relationships. Walter had been on a low-fat diet for years. He thought he was doing everything right, but in the process, he had cut out the very fats his brain and body needed to function well. He told me his thinking felt slow, like a fog he couldn't shake, and his connection with his wife had become more routine than real. We added a high-quality omega-3 supplement, rich in EPA and DHA, and within a month, he was a different man. He said, "I didn't expect it to help my joints, but I definitely didn't expect it to help my marriage." That's the magic of omega-3s. They don't just reduce inflammation, they restore flexibility, emotionally and physically. They help prevent plaque buildup in the arteries, lower triglycerides, and even protect the prostate. And when blood flows better to your heart and brain, it flows better everywhere. The key is getting enough. I recommend at least 1,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA per day for most seniors. Krill oil or fish oil capsules from wild-caught sources are best, and always take it with food to enhance absorption and avoid any fishy aftertaste. For men especially, omega-3s support testosterone balance and sexual function in a way that's gentle, natural, and long-lasting. They don't give you a spike, they give you steady strength. And for women, they ease joint discomfort, boost mood, and protect brain health in a way that becomes more valuable with each passing year. Walter eventually brought his wife into my office. She smiled and said, "Whatever you gave him, thank you. I got my husband back." That's when I knew it wasn't just about chemistry, it was about connection. So now, you've learned the 4 essential vitamins I recommend to nearly every patient over 60. But this isn't just about nutrients. It's about what happens when you stop guessing and start choosing what your body truly needs. And coming up next, I want to show you exactly what to expect in the next 7, 14, and 30 days if you make these changes starting today. You might be surprised just how fast your body can bounce back. Let's wrap this up. Conclusion. If you've made it this far, I want to say something very simple but important. You're not here by accident. You're here because something inside you still believes in your body's ability to feel better, move better, live better. And I'm here to tell you that belief is right. What we've just walked through may seem like 4 simple changes, but in my experience, they often unlock something far deeper than most people expect. Let's take a breath and reflect on what we've covered. First, we talked about vitamin D3 paired with K2, the duo that does more than strengthen your bones. It protects your arteries, supports testosterone, and clears the path for better circulation and vitality. That alone can shift a man's confidence and clarity in a matter of weeks. Then we added magnesium glycinate, the calm mineral, not just for relaxing your muscles, but for helping you sleep deeply, breathe easier, and restore the soft tension in your body that age slowly builds up. I've watched men and women go from restless, irritable nights to peaceful mornings simply by adding this one forgotten mineral. Next came CoQ10, the spark plug of your cells. Especially if you're on statins or feeling chronically fatigued, this nutrient brings life back to your heart, your brain, and yes, your performance. I've seen it restore stamina not just for walking upstairs, but for restoring that quiet confidence in the bedroom so many thought they'd lost forever. And finally, we talked about omega-3 fatty acids, the oil that smooths your arteries, protects your brain, and restores not just flexibility in your joints, but in your emotions, your relationships, and how you carry yourself through the world. I've seen couples reconnect. I've seen energy return to faces that had lost their spark. And often, it started with something as simple as fish oil. Now I want to share something personal. I've treated thousands of patients in my lifetime, and I can tell you, there is no greater transformation than when a man or woman realizes that decline is not their destiny. That fatigue is not the cost of aging. That weakness in the bedroom, fog in the brain, pain in the joints, none of that is a life sentence. It's just your body asking for the right support. And when you give it that support, when you stop feeding it what it can't use and finally start giving it what it needs, something powerful happens. Within 7 days, you may sleep better. Within 14, your energy may begin to shift. And by day 30, you might not recognize the person in the mirror, in the best way possible. Not younger, but stronger, clearer, more in control of your own health than you've felt in years. You deserve that, not because of what you've lost, but because of what you've survived. Your body has carried you this far. Now it's time to carry it forward, with knowledge, with care, and with the vitamins it truly needs. Because this isn't the end of the road, it's a new beginning, and I'm honored to be walking it with you.